In this lesson about developing characters in oral interpretation, I want to start by talking about some pitfalls and common mistakes performers fall into when portraying characters in an oral interp, and then talk about some ways to develop realistic and relatable characters. I see two significant pitfalls that performers often fall into when creating characters. First, relying on characterization in place of character development. Distinct voices, different posture, and unique mannerisms are all good things, but not when they are independent of understanding the character as a whole. Too many times I see performers put so much effort into creating a character that is visually interesting and fun to listen to that they lose sight of what's going on inside the character. That's where we find the difference between what I call characterization and character development. There is no substitute for character development, no matter how technical you are with those postures, mannerisms, and voices. The second is emotional extremes. This is when a performer plays a character as happy or sad, angry or calm, with little room for anything in between. No person in real life ever feels only one emotion at a time. If they're mad, it's because they're also disappointed or they feel betrayed. If they're happy, it's because they're also satisfied or they're also relieved. But too often performers pick just one emotion for their character to feel, and often it's one of the extremes. That makes for a very one-dimensional, surface-level performance. A deeper understanding of the character would reveal the nuance of the emotion and help you portray a more realistic emotion effectively. So now let's talk through my process for developing a character. There are 4 things you should consider when you're developing a character. A character's motivation should drive everything. Ask yourself, what does this character want out of their life at this point in the story? To understand, to learn, revenge, to feel loved? When you can answer that question, a lot of the pieces will fall into place related to how you portray them. How they speak, how they move, to how you talk about them in narration. Next, you need to ask, what are the relationships in the story? How your characters relate to and feel about each other is a huge part of developing each character, even characters that don't speak. If you have a monologue, but the character talks about someone else, you need to know how they feel about that person. You should also use the source text as a guide. Make sure to read all of the original text, especially if you are doing an excerpt from a longer book. The whole of the text will give you clues about the nature of that character, what they look like and sound like, and their personality. You also need to keep in mind the theme that you want to communicate. This affects how you interpret the characters too. If you want to focus on themes of forgiveness, you will present the characters differently than if you are focusing the story on the things that they did that need forgiving. Here are a few specific exercises to help you learn about your character. Write a character description. Just a few paragraphs about the character. Describe things outside of the text of the story. Take a guess at their favorite place to travel, their favorite movies, what music they listen to, what they eat for breakfast. When you can get to know the characters outside of the words on the page, it will help you understand them. And that will help you portray them. Put yourself in their shoes. How would you act if it was you? If you can put yourself in the situation, it might reveal emotion that you didn't realize the character was feeling, or help you see what they're thinking about. Picture an actor that you think could play this character. Don't mimic that actor, but let what you imagine their performance of that character to look like inspire you. When visualizing the actor's performance, ask yourself why that actor would have made that decision. When you can imagine why someone else made an acting choice, it will help you make the right choice for you. Let's review. Characterization does not replace character development. You have to do more than a crisp presentation of technical elements. Emotional extremes lack depth and limit the exploration of the true emotion and themes in the story. In order to understand the choices of a character, you have to understand their motivation. Relationships in the story are important. Knowing how each character feels towards other characters is a huge help in character development. Use the source text as a guide for learning about the details of their lives and how they might be reacting to certain situations. Remember the themes you've chosen to highlight. While there are many themes in every story, the one you've chosen to focus on will help you make the decisions about characters and narration. Developing a character the right way is possibly my favorite part of oral interpretation and acting. But it is not a one-step process. It's long, it's challenging, but it's fun and rewarding. Learning through the process of developing a character and then portraying that character for others to learn from is an amazing experience. So don't take shortcuts. Devote time to character development, and I guarantee you'll see a difference in your performance.